Hello, just bring you back. Just thought I'd say hello. It's end of 26th of July 21. Just thought I'd have a little wander around the garden. Alright, I mostly don't know the names of most of these plants, but some of these are from inside the house, like these cacti. Some watery things, that's actually watercress in there. Some succulents which have pretty much just finished flowering. That was thyme or rosemary or something, can't remember. Basil, I think it's basil. Pretty sure that was a lily when the flowers were on it. Don't know what that one is. It's another monster succulent which still flowering a bit. More of the same. Most of all of these succulents everywhere have come from these firecrackers. You just keep pulling them out every year, replanting them. So that's them. The old Japanese maple. Not sure what that is, but it's nice. That's another lily that's just finished flowering. And that's a not very well lily. Another one of them, another Japanese maple. That's clematis, whatever. I've just put that there. I need some more stuff, trellisy stuff for it to grow berserk everywhere. In fact, it's looking a bit dry. These grassy things, don't know what they're called, but we've got loads of them. And are these petunias? Oh, primulas. These were good. They were absolutely covered in these little pinky purple flowers, but they've finished flowering. Antirrhinum, it's almost, or is that what you'd call snapdragons? Anyway, Antirrhinum is almost finished flowering now. Another one of them. More grass, which has gone to seed. Dwarf conifer. We keep getting these. I end up planting them down the garden and they end up 20 foot tall. We'll come to that in a bit. More heather. I didn't realise with heather you have to absolutely drench it all the time, and I suppose if heather grows in boggy highlands, is that right? I suppose it would want to be wet all the time. I always thought heather would be like a sort of a dry rockery type plant, but my neighbour Amanda told me no, soak them. Can't remember what these are, but the hanging baskets have pretty much done all their flowering with the flowers, so I'm now potting other things in them that fit better. Just can't remember the names. A spiky thing, not as spiky as, it's not a cordyline, but it's a, oh hang on, I lied, it is a cordyline. Oh, there you go. That's why I should keep the labels for these things. More grass. I like to put the grass under the hanging baskets, because as you water them, soak them, it waters the grass underneath. Yeah, these were mostly pansies, but they've almost all flowered now and died. And what's the other one? The yellow ones, marigolds. We had marigolds and pansies in here, but the marigolds died ages ago. Dwarf conifer, grass. More. These are all going to be put other things in them now. Fuchsia. Now these two, I've got two fuchsias. They didn't even start. They were just like brown twigs until I think mid-May, maybe end of May. We thought they were dead. I nearly put them in the compost, but they come back. They're late flowers, and There's something else in here. It looks like mint or something. Some kind of spider plant. Verve Carex Evergold. Oh, okay, fair enough. Another one of these things. Not sure what it is. This is a nice one. I won't even attempt to pronounce that. It's nice. It's got some little berries on it. Nice, lovely waxy leaf. Another fuchsia. The bumblebees seem to be quite happy. For some reason, the pansies in this pot are happier than all the other pansies. It's always important to keep your pansies happy. Then no label. It's probably my fault when I repot stuff. I forget to put the labels back in them. And a lavender. I always forget the name of lavender, even though I have an allergic reaction to it if I touch it or get near it. So I like it. I can't stand the smell of it. Or if I touch it, it gets bad. That's an ivy with some kind of weed growing in it. I'll pull that out later. So hopefully that's going to dangle down. I might try and find some more ivy and put them in these pots now that all the flowers have gone. Punctured paddling pool. Yeah, it lasted a week. So more heather. This is good. This is fairy lights. It's called. Hang on, I better turn the radio off. Okay. Yeah, the fairy lights. I think I've just repotted these, but they really need some support. Don't know the actual name of them. And these are, Tracy did tell me the name of these. Something to do with rabbits, rabbit tails, I think, or something like that. But they're quite nice. It's just like a grass with a bushy seed thing. This grass, oh, it's a bamboo. Oh no, it's not. It's whatever that is. It's a bit temperamental. More lavender-ish. Not sure if that's what sort of. I'm sure it's a kind of lavender, that one. These are mainly from inside the house. As you can see, there's lots of cacti. Some of the succulents from outdoors, the firecrackers. They're seeding at the moment, flowering and seeding. But a lot of these are from in the house. And when it's going to rain tomorrow, I think I'm going to have to take all of this and put them in a greenhouse in case they don't like the rain or too much. And then we've got so many plants, I've had to make another area here. To be honest, it's a good thing because we had bark chippings here. There was a big plastic box with all the swimming pool stuff in, but that's all gone now. And then it was just bark, and then one of my cats, or one of my daughter's cats, was using it as a litter tray. So I've got rid of all that, and I've moved it down so the cat's still using it as a litter tray, but it's not near where you're sitting. So yeah, overflow I've put in here. I'm not sure what half of this stuff is. This is just stuff I put in, bulbs I put in. And they've just started coming out. These are the same, but I put them in later, these ones. These are more succulents. Another, what did I say they were? Petunia, something like that. This is a red robin, which I've just repotted into this big pot. I need to put it in the ground, but I've got a spot for that. But I'm going to give it I might repot it when it's dormant, if it goes dormant. But there's one of these next door and it's massive, so this is going to grow into a big old tree. That's just lily of the valley and ground elm. I think ground elm's basically like a weed, but I leave it there because it's an area that one of the cats doesn't go in and poo and smell the place out. Christmas tree. I have no idea what all these shrubs are, but I planted them 14 years ago. I took them off a building site, off one of the show houses, and when I've said this before, they'd plant little shrubs, and then when the house was sold, they'd pull them all out, throw them in skip, and put turf over it. So I took all of the shrubs. These were tiny little things about 6-inch square round. I just planted them here years ago. These are dwarf conifers, believe it or not, at least 10 years old. About a month ago I cut these down. I cut 8 feet off the top of each one of these. So dwarf conifers are not small conifers, they're just really slow growing, but they will grow again to the same as a 100-foot tall high tree. So yeah, these are the dwarf conifers that I attacked with the chainsaw. And some of the centre stems were 4 or 5 inches in diameter. I can't remember what this thing's called, but it's been struggling for years and years and years to grow, and it's finally taken off the last couple of years. It's got the sort of yellow, waxy, stainy feel to it. That's Leylandii, which was about 20 foot tall. Maybe not, maybe 16 foot tall, and about 10 foot wide either way. And I've just literally hacked it to pieces. It was just growing out of control. So I've chopped that down, but it seems to be coming back now. Another dwarf conifer, which was the size of one of the 2 little ones in the pot at the beginning of the year. It was a third of the size, and that's just gone berserk. More of my shrubs. Yeah, dwarf conifer. Now this, I can't remember what they call it, but it has beautiful, absolutely covered in yellow flowers, bright yellow. It looks like it's covered in buttercups in the spring, early summer. I can't remember what it's called. Something like a wild pea or wild pepper or something. But anyway, I had 2 of them. That's one of them over there, and that was underneath the Leylandii, and it was just getting bullied, and it was just like a little twig, and each year you'd get a few tiny little leaves on it and a couple of little flowers. So I rearranged stuff, and I've actually brought it down here, and it's grown like 10 times. So eventually it will turn into this. It's quite vigorous, this one. When I cut these, I also cut this square with the top of the hedge about a month ago, and it's already going mental. There's just more bulbs that I had left over, those sort of violety coloured things. Can't remember what that's called, but it's happily comes back every year. I think it's maybe some kind of willowy thing. More allergic to lavender. This thing is, it's actually flowering. This is about 3 years old now, and it just, some days it's dead, some days it's vibrant. I think it was supposed to be a creepy thing, so I put it next to this post thinking it might grow up, but it doesn't seem to want to. So this is definitely a willow, some kind of dwarf willow. And then of course fir trees, various different varieties of fir trees given to me by Paul the electrician. Of course the hazel is about 12 feet high now, my hazel hedge. I normally cut this last week of June and first week of November to keep it hedge shaped, but I didn't have the energy or commitment to do it this year. So I've got a guy coming on next Monday to cut it all down and get rid of all the stuff. He's actually Sam, my co-musician, Springy and the Blokes person. It's actually Sam's brother. He's got his own horticultural business, whatever you call it, you know, tree surgeon, all that sort of thing, landscaping, and he's got all the right equipment, and he's young and fit, and he's going to cut all this for me next Monday. Yeah, normally it's not this wild and out of control. It's normally, obviously you've seen it before, where I've had it all cut looking like a hedge, although it's not a hedge, it's hazel trees, and if you let them grow, they will grow to 30-40 feet high and wide. And in amongst it all is one little bit of privet. I actually transplanted this section here is privet that I grabbed from the front of the house. Just dropping my sunglasses. Yeah, this was at the front of the house. I've now got like a fence post or something there, so I had to move it, and it survived. So there's a tiny little bit of privet, and this is the orphanage for poorly bits. Anything that gets a bit sickly, I'm sticking in here. It seems to be happier. This gets sun all morning, this area. And they seem to have been coming back to life. This was from next door. They had it in a pot and it just dried out and died. So I've put it in the ground, soaked it. A couple of dwarf conifers again that were poorly. So I've done that. And this was a Christmas tree that was up where the cat used to use it as a litter. And it pretty much died off, and I put it here, and it was pretty much all just brown, and it's come back. There's a little bits of new, the bright green bits of the new growth, so I'm pleased with that. And this is jasmine or yasmin, whatever you want to call it, with the little, if you can see, little purple flowers. I planted these years ago. They actually, in two of them just in the ground when I put all this in, and it's just grown up. Bit like when I had the other arch at the top end, and I had honeysuckle. So that's quite nice there. And yeah, and it's just more of the same. I've started cutting the grass long. It was getting in the right state. I was cutting it way too short, and it was getting traumatised. So I've started cutting it at 2 inches high now. And it's the first. I've just cut all the lawns at 2 inches, and it's looking much happier about that. This is just all the blackberries and weeds, nettles. But I have actually hacked all this back because it was taking over the whole of this area. Not that I use this area. There's a couple of hazels there, two more hazels that seem to be daunted by the hazel next to them, and one raspberry bush. And I keep missing, the birds get to the raspberries before I do. Not that I like raspberries, but so yeah, I actually moved that. It was in front of here. And it grew quite nicely up this trellis that I put in. But then I realised that I had to mow around it every time. So in the winter, when it was dormant, I stuck it on this side. But yeah, it's funny, this little area here, though those hazels I planted the same time as these hazels, and these are up here and these are not. And I think it's because these hazels are maybe overshading it, but the idea was to grow these hazels up and over like these ones that Gary and Amanda have done. In fact, I think I might have even given them the hazels for this, but I want this one the same. So we've got it basically sort of blocks out the view. Oh, Having said that, everything else has grown up now anyway, but blocks out the view of the houses, that end that we all agreed to about 10 years ago when they asked our permission if they could build houses down here. Well, asked our opinion, and we went, oh yeah, it's fine, it's 300 foot away from our house. And now we regret signing yes. It's not too bad, it's far enough away from the house, but what they did was made it affordable housing, and I'll leave it at that. That's I'll try and be PC. I'll leave it at that. So anyway, yeah, compost burner. That's how things are at the moment. I should have left it a week until Hayden cut all my hedges, and it would have looked really posh. And I hope this is not too bouncy. I put image stabilisation on, but I don't really use the greenhouse as a greenhouse. It's more of a potting shed and storage place for chairs and things, and sort of an emergency place to put delicate plants on if there's a storm or something. So yeah, I don't actually really grow anything in there. It's just a potting shed, yeah. Well, there you go. I shall put a big warning label at the front of the video saying this is for gardeners or people interested in gardens only. So anyway, hope you enjoyed it. If you are interested in gardening stuff, I know nothing about gardening, but I'm quite happy with how it all looks through my trial and errors. And so anyway, there you go. Peace and love, Arbor Springy. Hope you're all well. See you soon. Ta-da.